Korean 1, Lesson 4, lecture on the topic 뭐해요? What are you doing? 뭐해요? This lesson is very important because we will be learning something that we will be using throughout here on to conjugate verbs and adjectives. This is something that you will use over and over again in learning and developing your Korean skills. Before we learn how to conjugate verbs and adjectives in Korean, let's then distinguish what are verbs and adjectives and where they go, how you can distinguish the two in Korean. It's just simple grammar. We already, a lot of you know, verbs are actions and processes. Adjectives are descriptions, such as, for example, size, weight, quality, quantity, shape, appearance. And it could be something not just visual or tangible, such as, like scent. It smells a certain way. They have, certain qualities that's not quantifiable. Verbs, just want you to be aware that, when I ask students what are verbs, they say action, but, actions we associate it with something very physical and visible, but verbs can be also processes. Just sleep is something very insipid and very passive. Sleeping is also a verb. Thinking you can't see, but it's a process. It's also an action. So on the left side, we have verbs. On the right, we have adjectives. How you can distinguish adjectives very easily is it means to be certain way, whereas verbs are to do something, And then somewhere in the middle, we have that ida, which is conjugated, we already learned, into 예요 or 이에요, depending on whether the noun before it ends in consonant or vowel. And it is to be. It is doing something, it is being something, but it's not action. And it's not descriptive because you're just equating it to something else. So this is a good practice to determine, whether you know something is a verb or adjective. 좋다 is to be good, nice. So that's an adjective. 마시다 doesn't mean to drink. So it's a verb. 오다, also a verb, to come. 싸다, it means to be cheap. 맛있다, to be tasty. To be something is adjective. 모르다, to not know. So just like 아니에요, 모르다 is a built-in negative verb. It means to not know. Like to be, you don't know something. That to not is already built into the verb. 배고프다, to be hungry, so adjective. 좋아하다 is to like something. This is where people make the mistake. I know they seem very similar because they start with 조 and then one is 좋아하다 and 좋다. We'll tell you how to distinguish the two later, but 좋아하다 is a verb. 좋다 is to be good. A lot of people indicate whether they like something with 좋다, but there's different usages and you have to be careful with the particles. We'll mention that later. And then 먹다 is to eat. 일하다, 하다 means to do. And you have some noun and 하다 often to say you do something. 쇼핑하다, a lot of loan words, 샤워하다. But you also have 하다 ending adjectives, okay? So be careful. 그다음 크다 is to be large, big. 전화하다 is another verb. You have 전화, which is phone, and 하다 means to call somebody on the phone. 맵다 is to be spicy. 알다 is to know. 모르다, 알다 are antonyms of each other. So we are going to learn how to conjugate verbs and adjectives into the active form a, o, yo. This is non-past. So this is good for describing something that will happen in the future or right now. And this a, o, yo form can be named different things: casual, polite, informal, polite, and it's the speech level that we use most often colloquially. And what makes it polite is that yo at the end. And yes, it's casual enough, but it's still polite because of the yo. And it's informal in everyday social situations. This is what we use the most. You probably heard a lot about honorific speech, which is a very unique and different feature that does not exist in English language. We will cover that in lesson 5. And past future tenses of this form will be covered in Korean too. For now, this is non-past, present, and future. And you can read more about this form in this Wikipedia link that I have provided for you if you'd like to know more. And, this is then contrasted with the formal or differential polite, okay? It's called casually polite, what we're about to learn, or informal polite. And then the 씁니다 form, if it's in question, it would be 씁니까. It's called formal or differential polite. And as you can see, because it's formal, the speech is longer, few more syllables. And it's not just, and we have honorifics in both of these speech levels. It's not that, you're dishonifying somebody if you use one or the other, but you have to know the context this is used in. You use the casual or informal when you're just talking every day socially and casually. You use a formal differential when you're in a professional setting, in the military, in ultra professional setting. And at the very beginning when you are introduced to somebody that you don't know that person at all, and it's in a non-social context. When you are, let's say, delivering a speech, academic speech, you would speak in this matter. With strangers, we would use these, everyday idiomatic expressions in the formal or the differential. 고맙습니다, 실례합니다, excuse me, 미안합니다, because you don't know them, so you want to be extra formal, polite with them. 죄송합니다 versus 죄송해요, 괜찮습니다, etc. So we already learned there's 2 ways of asking for somebody's name. 이름이 뭐예요? Versus 성함이 어떻게 되세요? In a social, very casual context where you are speaking to somebody who is equal or younger, then you can ask their name by saying 이름이 뭐예요? What's your name? Literally, that's what it means. 성함이 어떻게 되세요? It's a very elevated, very ultra formal, polite way of asking for somebody's name, and it is still not formal form, but this is honorific, to kind of elevate somebody. The name the word for name, 이름, is now changed to honorific counterpart, 성함. And 어떻게 되세요? This expression is used to request information about somebody who is older or needs respecting. So what does your name happen to be? Sort of the full translation. 어느 나라 사람이에요. Which country person are you? 어느 나라 사람이세요. So when you have a 세요 ending, that is honorific in the casually or informal polite form. So please have a good read of these honorific, counterparts in the textbook. So, that's a short background on the usages and different forms. So to summarize, you have two types of speeches. It's not so much not only who you're talking to, but the context. So you have the casual and informal and the differential and formal. They both have an honorific counterpart for each. For the what we're going to learn, the casual, informal, it's everyday social, interactive speech. You don't use the formal differential every single day. That is only in certain very formal contexts, especially when you meet for somebody for the very first time. It's in a professional setting, academic setting, formal setting, and in the military, work, professional context. What else? Cannot emphasize enough. And yeah, it's in a more formal context and environment. And you can drop the yo when you're talking to somebody who you develop a very close relationship with, or you realize, both of you are the same age, so you can, and you feel close enough with that person, and so you mutually agree upon to drop the yo, okay? And yo is always in the speech, and that is to express respect for the listener who you are speaking to. So how we make verbs and adjectives into this yo, or casual or informal polite form, is from the dictionary form. It's called the dictionary form because this is the neutral form of how verb or adjective is found in the dictionary. And it's also called the ta form because it all ends with ta. And you're going to take out the ta. And whatever syllable that comes right before the ta is called the word base, okay? Or sometimes it's called the stem, verb or adjective stem, or verb or adjective base. That is a syllable right before ta. So for 먹다, it would be 먹, 가, 가다, 가. Here, 마시다, she is not both, but she is the syllable. That is the word base or stem. So that's the first step. Get rid of the ta from the dictionary form of the verb or adjective. And what you need to observe is that base syllables vowel. You ask yourself if the little stroke is going left, right, or up or down. Again, you take out the ta, and then you're going to look at the syllable right before the ta and observe the vowel in that syllable and see if the little stroke is going up, down, left, or right. For 먹, it's going left. 가, little stroke going right. 사, same thing, little stroke going right. Here, there's none because the vowel in it is E, doesn't have either, stroke going either left or right or up or down. 호, little stroke going up. 주, little stroke going down. Again, she, no stroke going left, right, or up, down. After you have duly noted whether the vowel in the base or the stem goes up, right, left, down, you have to identify then the stem or base as either dark or bright vowel. Bright vowels are all the little strokes in the vowel going to the right, up. All the dark vowels are then those going to the left, down, and E. E is tricky because it doesn't have a stroke going either left or right, but E belongs to the dark vowels category. And the neutral vowel, which is an exception, is doesn't have little stroke going up or down. We will deal with verbs and adjectives with the base or the stem later. But for now, we're going to be dealing with those base or stem that has either bright or dark vowels. After you have determined whether it's a bright vowel or dark vowel based on whether the base or stem's vowel has stroke going up, down, left to right, or none at all, you are going to label it either dark or bright. And the next step is if the stem or the base is a bright vowel, you're going to add a. If it's dark, you're going to add all. So let's go back step by step. The first step was get rid of ta, and then to determine whether little stroke is going left or right, and if it's going left or down, it's dark. Right or up is bright. A mnemonic to make you memorize this is bright, right, bright, right. They rhyme. And up. What's the brightest thing in our universe? The sun. Where's the sun? Up. The sun is bright. And sun is up in the sky. So that's how you memorize bright. Bright is, it rhymes with right and up. The brightest thing in the world, the sun, up. And dark vowel is everything else, and E. Ka, little stroke is going to the right, bright. Therefore, you add a. Sada, you got rid of the ta. That was the first step. Next, second step, we determined that is little stroke is going right. So it's right. And then it's now we know third step, right, means bright. And fourth step is to add the a. We've done this for everything else. Either put all or a according to whether the stem or the base is a dark or bright vowel. Next step, the second step is now we go back to the stem or the base and determine if it ends in a consonant or vowel. Remember, we had to do this for a lot of the grammar points leading up to this. So first you look at the stem or the base to determine the vowel shade, whether it's bright, dark. For now, we're going to encounter some neutral vowels later, but whether it's bright or dark, and you have added a or all temporarily. And now we're going to determine for the fifth step, go back to the stem or the base and see if it ends in a consonant or vowel. Mok ends in a consonant, ka, vowel, sa ends in a vowel, ik ends in a consonant, so forth. When the stem or the base ends in a consonant, very easy. Then you leave the all or a and then attach you at the end. You're done. That's how 먹다 becomes 먹어요. You put 먹, and it had a dark vowel, so you put all, and it's a consonant. So you attach 어요 or 아요 if the stem is bright, and that's it. 읽다, 읽어요. Then what happens when the stem or the base ends in a vowel? Then you have to combine the vowels. In this case, ka, a, how can you combine ka with a? A is already included in the stem, so it cancels out. It's like putting, if you have two identical things overlapping each other, it cancels each other, one cancels out. So it's redundant to put a on there on top. That's how kada, you don't say kaayo, but if it's the same vowel in there, you just combine it and it becomes kayo. Same phenomenon with 사요. 읽어요. You don't, the all doesn't cancel out because there's a consonant, so you have to attach a separate all or a. Here, they are, one is a horizontal vowel and the a is a vertical vowel. So when you combine them, it becomes poi, it becomes a diphthong. So it becomes poio. Here, chu is a dark vowel, so you attach all, and one is a horizontal and the other is a vertical vowel. So combined, they become diphthongs, so it becomes choyo. So far, everything combined visually. Here's where it's a little different. So when you combine she and all, e and all vowel becomes yo. Remember that. So it becomes ma yo. It's going to be a yo. Combination of e and all becomes yo. These are probably almost all of the possibilities, most common possibilities for conjugation and vowel combinations. And to illustrate again, 가다, you have combination of a, the same vowel, so it just becomes 가요. It's not 가아요, but just 가요. Same thing with sada. It's not saayo, but same vowel, so sayo. 보다, 봐요. 주다, 줘요. 마시다, combination of so 마셔요. So we had the exception of the neutral vowel. The neutral vowel, it's also called the weak vowel because it's always dropped when conjugated into this polite informal form. If there is a syllable before the verb or adjective base or stem, it will be affected by that syllable before the stem or the base. If there's no syllable before the base stem, then it becomes automatically dark by default. So look at some examples. These are all the the samples of verbs or adjectives. 크다 is to be big, 쓰다 is to use or write, it's a verb. 예쁘, the rest are adjectives. 예쁘다, 바쁘다, 아프다, 나쁘다. And as I have, we go through the same step again, and the only exception is you're actually gonna get rid of the vowel because it's weak. When there's no syllable before the stem or the base, you're gonna attach all, and it just becomes 커요 or 써요. Remember, it's not 커요, 써요. It's the just disappears, it vanishes when you conjugate. when there is a syllable before the base, U base, then it's going to be influenced. This is a dark vowel, so here it becomes 예뻐요. Remember, U disappears. But here you have a bright vowel syllable before the U, so now this is 바빠요. It's U is called neutral, and it's think about ions. You know, it's there. If you have an uncharged, you know, you have an uncharged electron, and if it's going to be touching a positive or negative ion, it's going to be influenced. It's also going to be charged positive or negative. So, you know, if you have a bright syllable before it or dark syllable before it, it's going to be U is going to be then either bright or dark like its counterpart. It's all vowel harmonization. We like to have the similar type of group of vowels together. All the bright, that's why those three categories are as they are in those groups, because they the sounds go together. So because imagine if this was 예뻐요 and this is 바빠요. See how your mouth feels very awkward? It's it's easier to say 예뻐요 and 바빠요 because those vowels go together. The bright ones go together with the dark ones. 아프다, 아파요, and 나쁘다, 나빠요. That's how you conjugate the neutral ones. Make sure that U disappears, and when there's no syllable before the base or the stem, it automatically becomes dark. You attach the all. Otherwise, you have to observe what is before the base or the stem of the U, and if it is dark vowel, you put all, otherwise to conjugate. And U, when you conjugate, the vowel always disappears, and you're going to be left with just all or a. There are always irregular verbs and adjectives. We will go over, summarize these at the end, probably end of Korean 2. But we just want you to memorize some things for now, the exceptions. We already know that ida becomes 이에요, 예요. You're probably realizing now how special ida verb is. It's like nothing else, where it has two conjugation, one for verb, one for adjective. No other verb is like this. 아니다 becomes 아니에요. You just have to memorize. 하다 becomes 해요. 모르다 becomes 몰라요. And 배부르다, same pattern, 배불러요. 맵다 becomes 매워요. No reason to rhyme for now. Please memorize these exceptions, and we will explain the irregular patterns as we progress. Not too many. We're asking for you to memorize 1, 2, 3, 4 for now, because ida we already know, 아니다 we have covered those. Now we have the negative particle an, which can be in the front of verb or adjective to say not or don't. An in front of a verb means you don't do something. In front of an adjective, it means it's not something. 아침 먹어요. 아침 안 먹어요. You eat breakfast or you don't eat breakfast. 매워요. It's spicy. 안 매워요. It's not spicy. A few times that you have to be watchful is that for verbs that are, you know, noun plus 하다, the an has to go right before 하다, not the noun. So it's not 안 공부해요, 안 전화해요, or 안 조깅해요, but 공부 안 해요, 전화 안 해요, 조깅 안 해요. Please put the an right before 하다. And some verbs we already have told you are negative built in. 이다 becomes 아니다. You cannot say 아니에요 or 아니에요. You just say 아니에요. 있다, you don't say 안 있다. That doesn't exist. You have to just say 없다, which is the negative counterpart. It means it doesn't exist. 알다, you cannot say 안 알아요. No such thing. We have to not know, which is 모르다. These are all the verbs of verbs with the negative counterpart. You can just simply put 안 in front and say it's not. 안 봐요, 안 가요, 안 마셔요. Just make sure you put 안 in front of 해요 for nouns where you have the verbs where you have the noun first and then 해요. So it's not 안 일해요. No, that's wrong. It's 일 안 해요. 체크 안 해요. You put the 안 right before 해요. For adjectives, you can say either. A lot of the things you can say either 안 커요, 작아요, and putting 안 and the adjective, it's less blunt than saying the counterpart. Like saying 안 싸요. It's like it's not cheap versus 비싸요, which means it's expensive. 안 좋아요. It's softer than 나빠요. Okay, it's it's saying it's not good or it's not nice. That's more subtle than saying 나빠요, which is like straight away it's like bad or nasty. And these are the most important ones for which you have negative counterparts, and you cannot. It's wrong to say actually 안 있어요. There's no such thing. So for these verbs, 이다, 있다, 알다, please use 아니에요, 없어요, 몰라요. For adjectives, yes, there's a lot of things where you just can put 안 in the front, or you have the option of using 안 in the description or the counterpart. Just remember to, again, put 안 in front of 해요 for verbs where you have the noun and 해요. Again, not joke, can follow them to check out how certain jokes work. What is the context in which not jokes work? So how can you answer negatively? 브런치 먹어요. So all these you're supposed to say no. 브런치 먹어요. So 아니요, 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 안 먹어요. I don't eat brunch. You could say 브런치 안 먹어요, but just 안 먹어요 will do because we already we know what the object is in the question. 오빠 좋아요. Is he nice, you guys? 아니요, 안 좋아요. He's not nice. 가방 비싸요? Is it expensive? Is the bag expensive? 아니요, 안 비싸요. Or 싸요. No, it's not expensive. Or it's cheap. 커피 마셔요? 커피 마셔요? 아니요, 커피 안 마셔요. 스무디 마셔요. I drink something else. I drink smoothie. 비빔밥 좋아해요? 비빔밥 좋아해요? And you say 안 좋아해요. 안 좋아해요. Because 좋아 is not a noun. 좋아해요 is a whole verb to like something. 아니요, 안 좋아해요. No, I dislike it. 하인즈 워드는 중국 사람이에요. 하인즈 워드 is he Chinese? 아니요, 중국 사람이 아니에요. 미국 사람이에요. Okay? 스티브 알아요? You cannot say 안 알아요. Remember? That's no such expression. 아니요, 몰라요. 몰라요. 생선 맛있어요? Is fish delicious? Is it tasty? No. So you say 아니요, 안 맛있어요. Or 맛없어요. 안 맛있어요. It's not delicious. So it's less for than like it's not tasty. It's nasty. Here, we are going to explain to you how subject, object, verb structure in Korean works. This is the natural order of elements in the Korean sentence. You have the subject, and it's indicated by 이 가, the subject marker or the particle, and you use 이 if the word ends in consonant, ka if it ends in a vowel, and you have the object, which is, subject is, remember, the thing that is, it's an agency, it's doing something. Object is the opposite. It's affected by the process or the action. It is what's, affected. So you have the object indicated by 을, these are the new particles that we are going to introduce. If the word ends in consonant, 을, otherwise 를. In English, the order of the words or the nouns make all the difference, because it can be a question or a statement depending on where the words go in the sentence. And you don't know which is the subject or object if you switch them around. This English sentence, Sandy eats pizza, makes sense. Sandy is eating pizza. But if you say pizza is Sandy, then it means something completely else and it makes no sense. In Korean, same sentence, Sandy가 피자를 먹어요. Not only is it indicated by the order, who the subject or the object is, what the object is, but also by the particle. Sandy가 피자를 먹어요. Let's see what happens in the next illustration. So yeah, you have chaos when you switch the words around in English, because we don't have particles in English. Pizza is Sandy, that makes no sense, right? But in Korean, if you were to change the words around, the sentence would still mean the same, and it still makes sense, because what matters in Korean is the particle. The particles are little post-its telling you this is the subject, or this is the topic, or this is the object of a sentence. Even if you have Sandy, after pizza, it doesn't mean the pizza is eating Sandy, because Sandy is the subject and pizza is still the object. So pizza is what Sandy is eating. Sandy is eating pizza. See, even if the words are switched, Sandy가 피자를. So the subjects and objects, they still hold their value in the sentence. Okay, so what, just like everything that comes first in the sentence, that part is a little bit more emphasized. Here it's like the pizza, we are emphasizing pizza, but pizza is still an object. That's Sandy's one who's eating it. Pizza is what's been consumed, and the verb always comes at the end in Korean. That's very important. So these are the major three particles in Korean language. The topic, which you already know, 은는. It's like saying, ask for this thing. 이 가. A lot of times, topic and subjects are interchangeable. They're one and the same. It's only up to you to, want to make it a topic or subject. 이 가 is a subject, and 을들 are object particles. Again, topic is what you are talking about in the sentence, and 이가 is what or who is doing or being something. And object it's that's the agency. Object is the opposite, is passive. It's what's being affected by the subject or the verb. And these three elements will be introduced over and over between now and Korean 2. And what we're more worried about you is knowing when to use 은, 이를 versus 는, 가를. These are for 은, 이, 을 is for consonant ending nouns and 는, 가를 for vowel ending. And the usages of the three will be, discussed over and over so that you will feel comfortable using all three particles markers. 인턴이 커피를 마셔요. So intern is drinking coffee. Even if the word order is the same, intern, inter, coffee, coffee, if you switch the particles, then it no longer are the same meaning, because now the intern is what the coffee is drinking. Coffee is being made into an agency by putting ka, the subject marker, right? So that's not what you want to say. That sentence makes no sense. So even if coffee comes first, it doesn't mean coffee is drinking. It has 를, so that's how we know coffee is the object and intern is drinking coffee. So the sentence is saying coffee is what the intern is drinking. 저는 텔레비전을 봐요. As for me, I'm watching television. 친구가 뭐 해요? 뭐를 해요? A lot of times in simple questions and answers and sentences, the particles are dropped. It's just like in English, you hardly ask somebody casually, what are you doing? That sounds very confrontational. When we're asking, what your friend's up to, we say, what you doing, right? Same thing. It's, just like how we contract things. We say, 뭐 해요? 뭐 해요? Instead of 뭐를 해요. That sounds very formal. 떡을 먹어요. Or we would just say 떡 먹어요, eating rice cake. Okay. But for the sake of practicing 을을, the object marker, let's practice. How do you say you're reading a book? 저는 책을 or 책을 봐요. 책을 봐요. 바트는 who is gonna meet? 바트는 친구를 만나요. 친구를 만나요. 마이클은 what's he studying? 마이클은 한국어를 공부해요. 한국어, ends and vowel, 한국어를 공부해요. 샌디는 주스를 마셔요. 주스를 마셔요. 스티브는 불고기를 먹어요. 불고기를 먹어요. 불고기, ends and vowel, 불고기를 먹어요. 뭐를 공부해요? What are you studying? 한글을 공부해요. 한글을 공부해요. And as I had mentioned this before, if you don't have a topic in a sentence or subject, then the topic or the subject is first person I by default. 뭐를 먹어요? Or in a question, it's they're addressing you. 파파이스를 먹어요. 파파이스를 먹어요. 교촌 치킨을 먹어요. 교촌 치킨을 먹어요. 뭐를 마셔요? Or just 뭐 마셔요 can be. But we're practicing object markers, so we are including 을을 in everything. 코카콜라를 마셔요. 코카콜라를 마셔요. 펩시를 마셔요. 펩시를 마셔요. 콜라, 펩시, both of them end with vowels, so 를. 뭐를 봐요? What are you watching? 뭐를 봐요? 맘마미아를 봐요. 맘마미아를 봐요. 맥스 페인을 봐요. 맘마미아를 ends in a vowel를 페인을 봐요. ends in a consonant 을. And as I had mentioned again, we taught you how important these topic, subject, object markers are, but often we eliminate them in the sentence in conversations, especially very simple or yes or no questions and answers. And I've equated them to, what we do in English. We just answer, we're having a very casual conversation with those close to us, we just toss out one word answers, or we say, what's up? We say, what you doing? What you eating? What you gonna do? Right? Nobody speaks like, what are you doing? What will you be doing? Okay. So things are contracted, shortened, economy of language. When you want to specify who does what to whom, you have a more complicated sentence, then you need particles to indicate what's going on in that complex sentence. But if you can get away with it, a lot of the times the particles in conversations, colloquially, they're dropped. When you are having a formal statement, 저는 친구를 만나요, everything is, all the elements are there, including the particles. But, general, simple question, 뭐 해요? So that's the title of our lesson, right? 뭐 해요? Not instead 뭐를 해요. It's a very typical question. What you doing? What's up? 친구 만나요? Meeting a friend. Okay, you don't have to say 친구를 만나요 or 뭐를 해요. Now, they are asking specific questions. 친구 이름이 뭐예요? So now you have the subject markers. What's your friend's name? 친구 이름이 뭐예요? 리사예요. Or you can say 리사요, because that's a simple answer to a question. 뭐 해요? 텔레비전 봐요. Now they're going to ask more specific question. 뭐를 봐요? What is it you're watching? 한국 드라마요. 한국 드라마요. Okay, but yeah, or 한국, yeah, just I'm watching a Korean drama. Or 한국 드라마를 봐요. I'm watching Korean drama. 스티브 씨, 라면 좋아해요? Do you like ramen? 아니요, 안 좋아해요. No, I don't like it. Okay. And how do you propose an activity together? How do you say, let's do this, let's do that? This grammar is very useful. It's very simple, but you can use it in so many ways. It's something you learn and use right away. I love these grammar points because it's something you can practice in everyday life. All you have to do is we learn how to turn verbs into 아요, 어요 form. So you put 같이 and then 아요, 어요. That's it. Okay. So you just learn the 아요, 어요 form, and this can be any one of four things. You say 가요, can be a statement. I'm going. 가요? Are you going? 가요. So I do not recommend using this command or order form because it comes off as really strong. We're going to learn in lesson 5 how to politely ask somebody to do something. And if you put 같이 in the front, for emphasis, specification, then it means let's do something together. 가요, 같이 가요. Let's go together. 가요, 가요. The emphasis is usually in the very first syllable, like 만나요, 전화해요, 공부해요, 봐요. And this sounds very bossy, like do this, do that, study, log. But even if it's the same thing, if you put 같이 in the front, then it sounds very friendly. 같이 가요. 같이 만나요. Let's meet. 같이 전화해요. Let's make a call to each other. 같이 공부해요. Let's study together. 같이 봐요. Let's watch something together. Okay. So yes, if you just put the emphasis on the very first syllable, then it becomes a command. And remember, if the yo goes up, then it becomes a question. If the yo goes down, then it's a statement. 같이 in the front means let's do something together. Okay. 같이 숙제해요. 같이 숙제해요. Let's do homework together. 같이 다이어트 해요. 같이 다이어트 해요. 같이 영화 봐요. 같이 영화 봐요. or 드라마 봐요. 같이 전화해요. Bart and Lisa, brother and sister, 같이 책을 봐요. Okay. And it can be statement too that they're reading the book together. Then what is the expression for doing something on one's own, by oneself? 혼자서 is the expression. 혼자서 책을 봐요. I'm reading on my own. 같이 먹어요. 같이 마셔요. Drink together, eat together. 같이 쇼핑해요. 혼자서 해요. That's how if they ask you, this can be question as well. 누구하고 쇼핑해요? With whom do you shop? And with no one in particular, you say 혼자서 해요. I do it by myself. 같이 일해요. 같이 공부해요. So it can be statement or proposal. 같이 조깅해요. 같이 키스해요. That's it for lesson 4 of Korean 1.